Well, Greg, thank you so much for joining me. I've been wanting to do this for a long time because we talk a lot about in our webinar how you started, how things got started with Horizon, but we really don't get into your story, what you were thinking, what you were feeling, what led you to actually think that Horizon Trust would be the company that you wanted to focus on because you have other ventures that you're doing. So that's kind of like the concept of what we're going with this podcast, and then we'll kind of take it from there.
Great. All right. Well, this is nice to change the roles. You're there and I'm over here. So
it's interesting,
you're
right?
in charge. I get to, well, I don't know if this is good or bad. We'll see.
I'm going to ask you a couple questions and then we'll go from there. So the first question I want to ask you is take us back to the very beginning. When you were in real estate, early 20s, what age?
It was 23, 22.
Yeah. 22, 23. You had just gotten back from your mission.
Yeah.
And you decided that you wanted to go into real estate. No money. What was life like back then? Because obviously your life today is so different.
Oh, what was life like? It was great, to be honest. From a perspective, I was young, naive. Probably ignorance was bliss a little bit. I could move mountains, whatever it was, I was gonna do it. The only thing that was really, I think, weighing on me was, what was I gonna do? Mm-hmm. I didn't know what I was gonna do. And I was getting B's and C's in college. So college was the only thing I think that was like a little bit defeating for me because I didn't know what the end result was gonna be. But besides that, it was great. I just knew at that time, I'll never forget. I was like, if I could just make $1,500 a month, like I could work like 20.
That was the magic number back then, 1,500.
I could work 20 hours a week. If I could just make $1,500 a month, I'd be good. I do remember that. Yes.
So how did you, because you don't come from a background where real estate was something that you guys talked about, or like, how did you say, hey, I'm going to do real estate? And now that we've been working together for so long, real estate can go in so many different facets. So how did you decide, I'm doing real estate, this is the real estate I'm doing, and this is how I'm going to get there to get to the money that I need to?
Well, when I was that young, I didn't know any of what you just said. I didn't know what direction it was going to be in real estate. I just remember when I dropped out of college and I started working for this guy, he sold life insurance and did real estate deals. And I was just...
What were you doing for him?
Anything he asked. Go
Okay.
get McDonald's, go pick up dry cleaning, go take notes, come to every appointment with me and take the notes while I'm talking to clients. Back in the old days, we'd take notes and use paper and pen, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I would do. I would fill out applications, but I would sit and I would listen to him interact with investors, with his investors. And that was probably one of the most profound lessons I had, was just sitting. If you could imagine, like, just whatever it is that you want to do in life, right? In my case, it ended up being real estate. But just being able to sit with a professional day in, day out and see what he does, when he eats, how hard he works, what he says to clients, how he rebuttals to no's. Mm-hmm. I just sat and I took notes.
Was he flipping properties, doing wholesaling? What part of real estate was he doing? Do you remember?
He was raising money.
Raising money.
That's
what you do.
Yeah, he was raising money for trust deeds.
Okay.
So he was lending money for different trust deeds, basically not doing the deals, but raising the money for deals.
Okay.
And he did that, and he sold annuities. Those are the two things he did.
Okay, and then you decided annuities is not going to be what I want to do. I want to go into real estate.
Well, the reason why I wanted to get into real estate is when I sit there and watch the interactions, insurance was boring. No one wanted to talk about annuities.
Right.
His clients would buy it, but it was like people didn't get excited about it. When people start talking about their real estate deals and their investments getting double-digit returns, a light went on for them. Mm-hmm. And so it did for me. And so that's when I first was like, hey, that's interesting to me, mm-hmm. because it interested other people. But before even that step, the step before that was I saw this guy's lifestyle. Right. So for me, it was the lifestyle that he was living that I wasn't around. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Hope it's legal, whatever he does, right? But that's what I want to do. And then I got to see what he did. And he did a few different things, but real estate is what kind of I gravitated to.
Okay. So you're following him. You know that you want to do real estate. You know that that's the lifestyle you want. At what point do you remember the exact moment where you learned about IRAs and how IRAs can fund deals that you can just go one IRA, one IRA, one IRA? Do you remember that exact moment? What did that feel like?
Yeah, I remember it. It was all just so new to me. So to me, when someone just started talking about a self-directed IRA at that time, now mind you, this was 25 years ago, it was foreign to me, but so was almost everything else.
Right.
So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, like today when I talk to someone my age and they hear it, it's like, oh my gosh, I've lived 47 years and no one's told me about it. I was 23. So it wasn't like as much of, oh my gosh, as like, oh, it's a tool. It's something that people have and they can use.
Did you hear about it like it was just something someone else was doing and they were doing it a lot and then you're like, oh, I can do that too? Or was it like, hey, this is something I could do. Let me figure out how to do it.
It was just something I heard in one of those one-on-one meetings with this guy talking to clients. I heard them talking about them being able to do it with their IRA. And so that's it. It was in a meeting and I heard that they could do it and the light bulb went out for me. The reason that, look, the big thing for me is because I came from no money and no friends with money. I was always intrigued by like, well, how do you get the money?
Right.
So where's the money? Because everyone talks about
question.
Where's the money? And so when I heard that, I was like, oh. And so it was that was the eye-opening thing for me. And then I kept learning about it. But right when I learned about the concept of self-directing and that someone could use their IRA to go into real estate, I immediately was like, oh, I can find someone with an IRA and that could be my bank. That could be my lender or partner.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. So the light bulb went off for me right when I learned that concept. But I didn't think it was like I thought it was just like, saying use a title company or get title insurance. Use a self-directed IRA.
Like that was just something that you do. Okay.
Yeah, so
that makes sense. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, this is part of and so I had no idea. Like looking back on it, I never thought that I would have a company that does this. That was not, when I grew up, I thought I was going to play in the NBA. Like I was going to be a professional basketball player.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, that was what I was going to do.
In your dreams?
The Bulls, of course.
The Bulls, okay,
yeah,
okay.
Of course. I mean, I lived in Chicago when Michael Jordan was winning championships. And so I was like, I heard that Michael Jordan, I don't even know if it's true or not, would like, or not Michael Jordan, I forget who, but would like shovel off the snow in the winter and shoot at least 300 free throws. So I was like, in the snow in Chicago, I would shovel off every day the snow and I'd be outside with the little half gloves on so my fingertips come out and I'd shoot free throws. So I was going to play in the NBA.
Interesting.
So I was never going to be an owner of a trust company.
Did you realize that's not going to happen?
A couple years ago.
That's
I thought it for a minute, but but even after that, when I learned I wasn't going to, I didn't think I'd be a self-directed person.
Right.
I just thought I would be in some success of real estate. And I didn't think I'd be into the money side of things. And so just kind of looking back on it, it's easier to say, okay, I see why I made those decisions. But at the time, I was hustling. It was like if someone would taught me how to be a realtor at that time, I probably would have been a realtor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just
and now you know
have
that
met somebody that
you don't have to be a realtor to do real estate.
That's right. I never got my realtor's.
Yeah.
I never got my realtor's license, and so anyway, so that's what first got me into self-directed IRAs, and then I'll never forget that. There was a time where there was an attorney in our office that did estate planning.
Okay.
So he would do trusts for like $300 or $400 for families. This was 25 years ago. And so he would refer over to us clients that had retirement accounts or wanted annuities over to the guy I worked with.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know. I mean, this was a genius thing. I think it's genius at least. I remember taking some of his business cards because I was like, well, I'm going to find, he's going to refer me business. I want business. He refers it to Chris. So I'll never forget. I opened up my first bank account on my own up Eastern, at the corner of Eastern Horizon Ridge. There's a Bank of America.
Okay.
I went in that Bank of America. You probably don't know. You don't know that side of town as much, but I went in there to open a bank account with $500 to my name, and I go in and I sit down with the banker to open up my bank account, and she asks what I do, and I was like, well, this is my opportunity. She's the banker. Like, she's got all the money.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I know now, but
Right.
still, she opens accounts. So she asked what I do. I said, well, actually, what I do is in my office, we have an attorney who helps people with estate planning that does trust, and I help them get set up with him. And then we help also individuals look at their funds if they need annuities or invest in different real estate things. But yeah, we have an estate planning attorney. I focused on that.
Okay. Yeah, because that sounds important. Sounds like you do something.
She says,
cool.
you know what? I actually have people all the time that are moving in from California that are moving their assets here, and they've opened up bank accounts and they need a trust. And so I can refer you some business. And I was like, great. Gave my number. The next day she called me with a referral. That referral got a trust in our office for $300. That referral had an IRA who self-directed, who funded my first deal.
Okay.
From the bank account.
Okay, so from the bank, you get your first referral. How do you get the referral to get them to your boss at the time to go ahead and do the estate planning? How do you say, hey, this is my referral too. I'm going to go ahead and get them to fund a deal. Is that like what you're doing at that time, or it just clicked?
I didn't. In my mind, that referral was mine.
It was yours.
It was.
No, it was.
I didn't share it.
How did you monetize it?
I didn't share it with Chris. This was my lead. We didn't ever talk about that, but I was like, look, if it's my lead, I gave the lead to the attorney. The attorney did all the estate planning work. Afterwards, and he knew that's what he would do. He'd say, hey, look, if you also want them to. And so I met with them, and they had like, I don't know, over a couple $1 million. So they lent me $60,000 from their IRA and self-directed for the first time in their lives. And they funded one of my first deals. And that's when I learned the power of a self-directed IRA. From that moment on, I've used it in almost every part of my business. And so it was. Do
you remember your pitch, what you told them? Because this is somebody that doesn't know you. They're coming to you for estate planning, and now you're asking for $60,000 from their IRA that they're not self-directing. How does that conversation go?
Well, it wasn't as clinky as you just said it. It was much smoother. But first, we started with the trust, and I met with the attorney and them in the room. So I'm building the relationship with them. And then after on the second or third appointment of getting their trust, their final docs, you have to give them all your assets to put in the trust. So I get to know what their assets are. So then I said, hey, look, now that next week your trust is going to be done, if you're open to hearing some suggestions and talk about what you could do potentially with your IRA and what we do with real estate, I'd love to meet with you. They said yes. So I took the chance.
You had a deal already to show them? No, you
didn't have a deal.
Okay.
And so then they said yes. I knew I was meeting with them next week. I found a deal in a week.
Right.
And they, kind of the rest is history. But I did. How I talk to them though is how I train people today on how to look for money and investors, which was, I learned from the guy that sat next to me for the first 7 months of my life, where he paid me $4.20 an hour.
Jesus.
I don't even know. I think it was less than minimum wage. But I would have done it for free, knowing what I know now. But I learned to ask questions. And so what I did is I asked them about their IRA, what rate they're getting, if they're happy, what rate they would looking for. And then they told me everything. They told me. They said, I got these 6 accounts. Well, which ones do you like? Oh, I like these 3. Cool. Not even going to talk about those 3.
Right.
Which ones don't you like? These 2. Why don't you like them? Well, blah, blah, blah. Well, what rate of return are you getting in those? -6, 2%. Well, if I could show you something where you could partner with me on my next deal and I could give you X, would you be interested? $60,000? Well, yeah, sure. It was as simple as that.
Yeah.
But it was all those steps
to
get there in that position. later, I mean, by the time he passed away, I mean, we had done many deals.
Many deals together. Wow. Okay, so you identify that this is something that you want to focus on. You identify that you want to go ahead and do self-directing. Now take us to when you identified that you needed a custodian. So this is what we do at Horizon Trust, right? This is your main business. How did you identify, hey, in order for me to do this, I need a qualified custodian? No, not even qualified. It has to be a custodian. And take us through what you did to go ahead and vet them out and all of the struggles that you had with custodians.
Well, there's two things. First, I worked with a hard money lending company that was licensed here in Nevada, and me and my sales team talked to thousands of individuals that wanted to put their IRAs and lend on deals in real estate, like my first deal. But now imagine hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right.
Well, so now you're dealing with thousands of individuals in the retirement accounts. And so I would refer them to these other trust companies, big ones, Goliaths of the industry, that still exist today. And just imagine me doing all the work, getting the client all the way ready to invest in one of our trust deeds. And then I say, hey, look, the next step is, now that you want to do this, you got to open up IRA. This other company had paperwork. It was clunky. It was not seamless. It took forever, sometimes months, for sure weeks. And they weren't helpful filling out the paperwork. I had to hire people in my office to fill out the paperwork for that trust company. And it was so slow. And what would happen is clients thought my deal was bad because they were so slow. And so I lost clients. And so I decided that I want to start a trust company purely for the purpose of making the process seamless for people like me.
Right.
And so that's why I started. And something that most people probably don't know as well, and why Horizon is my baby, and it's so near and dear to my heart, is I started a trust company before Horizon Trust Company. And I didn't have a lot of money or enough money to start the whole thing. So I was a sweat equity partner. I owned 25% of the company. And I had other partners come in and fund it. I was running the whole thing. And it was doing very well. And I just learned a lot. I've learned all my hard knocks in business through hard experiences. That's where I've learned my master's degree, I think. But it was doing well, and some of the silent partners didn't want me to have that ownership. And so they decided to, based upon page 64 of blah, 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 in an operating agreement, they had the right to reevaluate the shares based upon money that I put in, which would bring me down from 25% to 1.5%.
Oh, wow.
So they said, you can either take this check for $140,000 or you can be at 1.5% of the company.
That was right before you started Horizon?
That was in 2008 when I lost almost everything to my name in real estate. So that was kick me when I was down. And so I took the check for $140,000 and I was like, I'm going to fucking crush them. Didn't have any non-competes. They weren't worried about me because I was at nothing. I had lost everything in real estate. The only company that was doing well was our trust company, and they just stole it from me. They stole my people from me. And I was like, I'm going to start it again. So a year later, I started Horizon Trust Company. And I was like, I'm going to have control of it. No one can steal it from me. And it's going to be my baby. And here we are 15 years later, Horizon Trust Company. So I took that. I'm pleased to say today we are much bigger than the company that I started before that. And
are they still around?
They're still around.
They're still around.
The owner calls me now and he's like, oh, we should have never done that. We should partner up again together. Look, we all make mistakes. I forgive them.
I need the name of that person so I remember not to let you do that. You're a very forgiving person. That's one thing about Greg.
Yeah. And so anyway, look, I started Horizon Trust Company to fix a problem. And I've been in the business because I've seen the problem. And today I still see it. And so it's, people ask who my client is. We have two clients. The first client is obviously the end user, the people that entrust us with their money. Like that is gold to us. But just as important are the people that are trying to run a business and raise money for their funds or their deal, like I was trying to raise money for my first deal. So when someone refers us a client, that person that refers it is just as important to the client as the client is to me. And that's how I feel like our company is. We treat a referral just as good as a client. And I also feel like our company treats a client with $10,000 the same as a client with $1 million. It matters. And that's what this industry is missing. And and I'm glad they're missing it, because we're not.
Right.
We're doing it. We live it. We care. We listen. We continue to listen. We try to get better. We're not perfect. We learn all the time how to be better systems, better technology. But if you were to ask me 23 years ago if I was going to have a trust company, I would have said no. And I think that's probably, you didn't ask this question, but I'm going to share it. I think I shared it with you once recently, but it's kind of resonated with me. I feel like most people are told to do what you love. And I think that's a mistake. Looking back on it, I think you can fall in love with what you do.
Yeah.
And I'm a testament to that. I have fallen in love with self-directing. Such a potentially boring and not fun subject, but I've fallen in love with it. And it happens to do with the people, our team and our clients, but also how magical and how different it is.
How different it is, yeah.
It's just so different. And most of America doesn't even, still to this day, it's over 40 years old, it doesn't understand what a self-directed IRA is. And so that part's magical to me as well. But I was talking to my friend who sells crates or whatever it is. I don't even know what you put the boxes on. The
forklifts?
Not the forklifts. What forklifts pick up? Those wooden crates. Yeah. He lives a great life with a beautiful family. He sells crates. And he has fallen in love with it because it's given him the lifestyle that he's dreamed of. And that's what I feel like Horizon does. I mean, how many people do I get to see, staff members have bought their first homes with us? Investors who have doubled their IRAs in 5 or 6 years. That's special. And kids that do it as well.
Looking back when you started Horizon Trust, obviously we went over, you got taken out or bought out from your other company. Now you're on your own venture. Maybe you haven't done it, maybe you have, maybe you were on the money side of the trust company. What was your biggest doubts? Now you're dealing with regulators, you're dealing with the state. It's not just, I'm going to start a company. It's a real financial institution. So what went through your head, and what were your biggest doubts, fears, and how did you overcome them?
Biggest doubts. I don't know if you'd love my answer, because I can give you my biggest concern, like fears maybe, but like I think I'm going to start with doubts. I think one of the things that has made me successful is I've never doubted or questioned my ability to do what I was going to do. I never considered it something not to work, ever, that I wanted to do, to this day. Now, I'm not saying that in a proud way at all, because I have failed. I have failed in my life several times. In a couple times the same thing over again, which I know they say you shouldn't do, which I know is sad, but I still have done. But I've never doubted. And I think that is an important trait. I think if you're doubting, or you're second guessing, or if you have a plan B, your plan A is not going to work as well. Yeah. And I played around with that a little bit too, where I'd have 2 or 3 things going, and if you don't fully focus on your plan A, you're not living up to its potential. So I never doubted. Fears, yeah, fears of staff stealing from me, fears of staff leaving me, fears of of losing it all, like I still to this day, I don't know if it's a normal thing or not. I've heard others talk about it, but I'd say it's sad that I don't doubt myself at all, but I still have this fear that like I could lose it all. And it's not like I lose sleep over it, but I think about it, and because I had nothing, I've lost everything in my life twice, and so I'm like, well, shoot, does this, how do I make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah.
And so, I think we are fortunate where we are now. We're 15. I mean, if you think about your friends or people you might know, like how many can say they've been in the same company for 15 years?
Right.
It's not very normal.
No.
And so now I look back on it, I'm really proud. So I feel like we've got a base of clients, of staff, of good people. And so now that's not my, I don't question if we're going to survive. Now it's like, how do we scale at 10 or 20% a year? How do we give a better service to our clients? How do we make sure every employee buys their first house? Like those kind of things. How do we make sure that end of the rainbow, someday when we sell, that, it affects more people's lives than just mine? So that's, that's from a business perspective. The constant thing that I think about is, your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just funny because I feel like totally different tangent now, but like Jess and I talk about this, like, I get to the office and everyone cannot wait to talk to me. Right? I get home and I'm like, hello, anyone home? Like, anyone want to talk to me? Because everyone wants to talk to me over there, but not here. Jess does, of course, but the kids, I'm like, hey, you want to come talk to me, right? But that's who, it's kind of like the hard to get thing. Like, that's who I want to, I hope I'm making an influence. And I know I am, but it's like, how big is it? And so those are my focuses now, is like family and staff, and what can I do better there? So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's not, I don't have doubts.
It's good. No, you talk about how you fear losing it all, and I can relate to that because I've never had anything either. So when you have something, it's you do go through that whole like, hey, how can I keep it? How can I make it? How can I elevate it to the next level? And how can I not lose it? So you say you think about it often. What do you do to live with that fear and not let it get in the way of getting into the next level?
God. I've really doubled down on God, especially in the last 2 years. And it goes in phases, right? Sadly, I'm just being brutally honest. But I feel like God is so fundamental in my life, and family, and I get emotional, and gratefulness. Mm-hmm. I can't do enough of it. Like, I feel bad. So that's how I get through. That's how I get through the fear, is I go to the gratefulness. I kneel in prayer every day. And so like, that's how I get through it. Doesn't always fix it, but it's how I get through it. And that's what I want to do better at, frankly. I want to double down on people and God and being appreciative. And so that's how. Is there
a ritual you do? Like, you talk about gratefulness. Is there something that you do at the beginning of the day to help you get the day started in that kind of manner? Yeah.
I mean, I truly start with prayer. Mm-hmm. Like, I literally, and this is not, I am not holier than anybody. I am just, I share more because I care, and I feel like it's changed my life. But I've always been Christian. I've always been religious. But I feel closer to God now than I ever have. And I do think it's because I'm being more intentional, and I'm praying differently. My relationship with God different. So yes, I start my day almost every day. I mean, there's days that I don't. Maybe the baby wakes up early or like whatever. But kneeling in prayer and 100% grateful prayers, not asking prayers. And the other thing that I do is I really try to focus on, I pray for 2 individuals every day, 2 different people. I got a list.
Okay.
And
I like that.
You're on the list.
Oh.
And there's people on my list in all facets of my life.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that. And so anyways, that my ritual is that, and I like my quiet time in the morning. So me getting about an hour in the morning makes a difference in my whole day.
Okay. Awesome. So now we talked about Horizon Trust being your side hustle to get money. At what point in your career did you decide this is what I want to focus on? One thing that I've noticed about you is that even though you always have ideas and you always have ventures that were like, hey, maybe we can do this. Hey, maybe we can start this. You're always like, Horizon Trust is my main focus and that's going to be my number one. At what point did you decide that, and how did you live your career to go ahead and lead that path?
I can't tell you the exact year, but I would guess 8 years ago, probably around there, maybe 7. But almost my whole life I had 2 things going, a couple things going, and I don't know. I think I heard something, read something somewhere, but I just heard it clearly. Like, everything else is a noise. Focus on your main thing, and so I did, and I immediately made more money that year. If you take the 2 incomes that I had, combine them, it didn't exceed my 1 income by just focusing on the 1. It was like night and day different. It was like, this is where I was at, and then focusing on 1, not 2 incomes, it was like 30% more.
Yeah.
And it was like...
Focus on the one you love.
Yeah, the one I fell in love with. Yeah.
Yeah.
and so that, but that's one of the common problems I see in almost everyone's life. Not everyone's, but a lot of entrepreneurs' life is they've got, I'm going to start this because it works together. I'm a broker, but I'm going to own a title company, insurance thing. And it's like, if you don't have your home in order, if you don't have people that you trust that can run the business, you have no business starting something else.
Right.
So, yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. What legacy do you feel like you're creating at Horizon Trust that goes beyond just money?
I don't know. I'll have to ask you. I would hope that the legacy that I'm leaving with Horizon Trust, and for anyone that knows me, is a legacy of love and hard work in relationships. I would hope the legacy I leave and people talk about is the way he loved and the way he cared about relationships. I think that's because that's what I'm working on. If they don't say that, that means I need to do a better job. But that's what I want to keep working on. And
I think you do a great job at that.
Oh, thank you.
You're very intentional in the way that you talk to us and the way that you treat us as employees and people that are actually like we feel like we're part of your family, especially your key people. You really care about us. You talk to us and ask us things that are not relevant maybe to business all the time. You just call us and say, hey, how was your weekend? What did you do this weekend? I saw you did this. It goes a long way because you're not here all the time. So I think that really is impactful for all of us, and you really care about our careers. It's not just, oh, you're my employee or this is your job. You really do a good job at like, hey, what's next? What can we do together? And you're going to be my person. So I totally can see that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's fun.
Okay. One last question. Let's end with this.
Okay.
What do you want your employees and clients you helped when you're older and you're no longer here? What do you want them to remember about Greg Herling?
Well, first of all, I'm going to be here. So, like it or not, I'm going to always be working, whatever that capacity is. What would I like them to what?
What would you like them to remember about you?
Probably the same thing as legacy. I think I'd answer the same way. That I made... hopefully a difference in their lives, but not just business, but in personal, and made an impact, and but also made it fun. I want them to know. Hopefully, they look back and they say, he made it fun, and it's because it's not just about money, but money's fun. There's no question about it. I try to focus on the things I shared earlier, but also on experiences. And I think the more experiences that we can either create together or provide for others is awesome. So when I get to hear about you going on certain trips to see your mom or your family or your goddaughter this weekend, or different employees, Will going to Florida or New York, or like, we work so we can create experiences. And so I hope people will look back and be like, he cared about and wanted me to be able to do X. So that would be, and the last thing I'll say that I brought up a couple times with you and others is the last thing I'll say is this all started with Jennifer Peterball. Jennifer, I will get emotional about Jennifer. She started this company with me, and she would be so proud. So I don't want to get emotional.
She is proud.
Yeah, she is proud. She's got beautiful kids, and Jennifer was here when I started, and when she passed away, this is what I hope. We sat in this room. This room used to be a conference room. A couple of days after she passed away, we all came in here, and we all shared a story about how Jennifer affected them in their lives. And she started the company with me. We started at zero, creating pamphlets and books and handbooks and processes. I didn't swear back then. And she would say fucking everything. Fuck this, fuck that. I fucking love you. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to swear. Now I think she'd be proud of me that I swear. But she did so many things that I wasn't aware of. Mm-hmm. We went around the room, and the stories that they would each tell, non-business related, just like how she showed up for someone when whatever happened in their family, or brought them a coffee, or just stayed late, and so she touched so many lives, and it made them better people. And so that's what I hope. I hope that someday a small group of people will sit around and be like, remember that time that Greg came in and we had champagne in the office and we talked about all the things that we were doing right. Whatever it is, but that's what she did, and she helped me create this, and I hope to live a similar legacy and something behind for my team.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is a great ending, that you came back to what really motivated you. And you talk about Jennifer. I know who Jennifer is. A lot of people don't know. It's somebody that started the company with you and that passed away unexpectedly, by the way. Yeah. And you had to just shift and figure it out. Mm-hmm. And you did. Yeah. And now we're here. So that's a great ending. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks for your questions. It's fun to reflect on. I don't get to talk about those things very often. So thank you. Yeah.
So to another 15 years.
Cheers.
Let's go.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. There's lots more great content for you to learn and enjoy and apply to. And so anyways, click on the link below and listen to more videos or set an appointment with us. We look forward to hearing from you and also helping you.